I try to tell people, I'm like, when you're struggling as a mother, I need you to stop and just ask yourself, racism, capitalism, or patriarchy, or D. And D is all of them.
All of the above.
Because I promise you, 99% of the struggles that we have can be traced back to one of those things.
Welcome to the Unquiet Sisterhood, a place where we can talk about real life, work, love, and more from a feminist perspective. I'm Jen Pavich, your host, and now let's dive right in. Hey there, and thank you for joining me for episode 3 of the Unquiet Sisterhood podcast. So there are just not enough words to describe how much I loved the conversation that I got to have with my guest today, Graeme Seabrook. Graeme is a writer and speaker who's passionate about helping mothers transform their experience of motherhood. She writes and speaks about postpartum mental illness, recovering from recovery, the myth of work-life balance, and mother-centered motherhood. Graeme believes that a mom's experience of motherhood is just as important as a child's experience of childhood, and she facilitates groups on and offline, advocates for maternal mental health at national conferences, and works with mothers around the world to transform their motherhood experience. So, without further ado, I want to jump right into this wonderful conversation that I got to have with Graeme.
So, Graeme, thank you so much for being on with me today.
I am so excited about this. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. So what we were just talking about before we started was this idea of almost like who is a mom that needs moms. And so your writing, and I know I said this a few minutes ago, is just so incredibly alive and potent and real and raw, and just resonates with me so much, even though, as we were just saying, my kids are 18 and 24 now. So can you tell me a little bit about your story and how you got started doing what you do, and like what inspired you to be such a powerful advocate for moms?
Yeah, I always wanted to have babies. Like I was that kid, and it was a little messed up because I grew up in the 80s and 90s when I was what I was supposed to want. Right?
Supposed to want.
Yeah, what I was supposed to want was like some high-powered career.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in New York when I was really little, and I don't know if this is as iconic for other people, but for me, there's this image of all of these women coming off of the subway in their Reeboks. Like they're in suits and nylons and Reeboks. My mom's were bright red high tops, and she carried her purse, and then she also carried a canvas bag that had her pumps in them,
Mm-hmm.
and some makeup, and a couple of whatever she needed to make herself not look like a person who had just been on the subway for half an hour, but look like an actual human being who should be walking into, my mom worked for IBM. So that was the image. And my mother and her mother and her mother, this is what they had been working for, right? Was for me to have all of the options and all of the choices. And here I am, 5 years old, and all I really want to do is have a baby. I just want a little baby that I can cuddle and snuggle and kiss on and love and feed and wrap and teach things, and like that's all I wanted. But when people would ask what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said I want to have babies, they would, I got a look. And I was like, oh, I want to be a fireman. I just started making up other things.
Right. Making up other things because you didn't want that reaction?
Yeah, because kids are smart, and we learn really quickly what reaction is good and which ones are bad. And I also really loved, as I grew older, I really loved stories, and I loved the theater. So that started to become my answer, that I wanted to be an actor. And fine, okay. But in the back of my mind, all the time, I wanted to be a mom. I had this grand idea that I was going to be a famous actress and I was going to get married and I was going to get pregnant and I was going to give up my whole career to be a mother, like really
This big
dramatically.
dramatic
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Oh, it was gonna be this whole huge thing, like cover of People magazine. She quits. Like it was gonna be this whole big thing. God, I was really pretentious and annoying as a teenager.
I
was
don't
like
think I've met teenagers who are not.
right,
But
right. So I was just regular teenager. But then I became a mom, and I hated it. And I was like, wait, whoa, what? Huh? This is not. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's like, imagine if all you had wanted for 34 years was a slice of pepperoni pizza, and then you finally got the slice of pepperoni pizza and you were allergic to it and it made you sick.
wow, that's a powerful image.
That's how pissed off I was. Like, honestly, I was so angry that I was sick. I got postpartum depression and anxiety hard.
Oh.
I also had a really traumatic birth experience with my oldest, involving like 26 hours of labor and an emergency C-section.
Ooh.
Yeah, super fun, good times, good
Yeah.
times. And about a year after I had my son, I was diagnosed with PTSD from that experience.
From the birth experience?
From the birth experience. Yeah. I was like, wait, I thought I was getting better. Why is this not better? Why is all this other stuff happening? Nightmares, flashbacks, cold sweats. Where that's not in the depression handbook. um, and finally, I found a therapist that was like, yeah, that's trauma and that's PTSD. And I was like, I have never been to war. So no, you're wrong. And
Isn't that funny? Like
yeah,
that's in our
that's what we think
minds,
of.
that's what has to be trauma.
Yes.
Is something, huge, but childbirth can be life-threatening.
Oh my goodness.
Why wouldn't it be trauma?
Yes. I mean, deeply life-threatening. There were multiple times during that little more than a day that I thought I was going to die, that Adam was convinced I was going to die. He had a conversation with his mother. I didn't hear it. I didn't know about this until afterwards, but he had a conversation with his mother that said, Mom, what do I do if she dies? How do I take care of this baby if she dies? Like, what? I can't do this. While his mom was in the airport on her way, she was flying down from New Jersey to Charleston to be with us because he was terrified and he needed his mom. Yeah, it was traumatizing for all of us. So, like, that is traumatizing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, how do you have that conversation with, how terrified do you have to be to have that conversation with your mother? And if you are a mother, to be sitting in an airport listening to your son with that much fear and knowing that you can't touch him, you can't help him, you can't be, that you're in an airport. And even if you were there, you're not a doctor. You can't save this woman that he loves. You can't save your grandchild. It was traumatizing for all of us. Like, it was, nobody had fun.
Yeah.
It's not a good time. And then I was just really, really sick afterwards. And as I started to feel better,
physically better
and emotionally better.
Okay.
I took medication. I saw a therapist. I started exercising. I still don't like it. I'm still doing it. It's 5 years later. I still don't like it. Endorphins are a lie. All of you people with your runner's high, you are
right there with
liars.
you. I call bullshit.
Scammers. Yeah, it's not true. I only do it because people with letters after their names tell me that I have to. So
yep.
I do. But I'm not one of those people that enjoys exercise at all.
Yeah.
But I was doing all the things, right? They told me you need to be moving your body. You need to be getting out of your house.
Right.
We're going to try. I tried multiple medications. Zoloft ended up being the thing that helped. We were doing all the things, right? And eventually it starts to kick in. It starts to work a little bit. And I started to feel better, just enough to also be really angry that this had happened to me.
Now, how long was this, like, after you had given birth?
like 3 or 4 months, 3 months,
Okay.
3 months. I remember going to my therapist and saying, I want to start a foundation. I am gonna start I didn't even know what I was gonna do. I had this whole plan. I'm going to Congress. I just was ranting because nobody told me that PPD was a thing that could happen. I took
Yeah.
all the classes. Like I at my hospital, they had all of like a whole series of classes that you could take when you were pregnant.
Mhm.
On all of the different complications. I mean, I was lectured for half an hour on gestational diabetes.
Oh, good Lord.
Right. Okay. And I was screened for diabetes, like I think 3 times, and I was never screened for mental health. And somewhere between 10 and 20% of moms have mental illness symptoms. And for Black women, it's 38%.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 in 3. It sucks. But I was never screened. So I started to get really, really, really angry about it. And I went and told my therapist all of these things that I was going to write a letter, and I was going to go yell at the head of the hospital, and I was going to do all of these things. And she was like,
And I feel like I never heard much about even postpartum depression. I mean, like it was always like an aside with
yes,
things. Like it was
like
just
a whisper.
and like a whisper and almost kind of so I remember the nurse that did my childbirth classes talking about it with my oldest. And again, this was like 1994. But like, putting it in this way, like she was like, you can get the baby blues kind of. It was this very sort of dismissive, oh yeah, that happens to some people. It's really not a big deal. Sort of way,
Right,
and I've actually heard a lot of healthcare professionals refer to postpartum in that sort of dismissive, it's not really serious sort of way. And I had undiagnosed postpartum with my son.
It's serious. It's
oh
not
my God. Like I was a mess.
Oh God, yeah.
And I was pretty sure that like, I was just like deeply fucked up, and I didn't.
Oh, right. Oh, you were
in my head
obviously
at the
a horrible
time,
person who should not have had a baby.
Yeah.
And if anybody knew, they would take your baby, obviously.
Because I just couldn't get my shit together. It's funny when you say that about they would take your baby. I became a parent really young. I was 19 when I had my oldest, and single, and it was not a planned thing. And I was in a really destructive relationship, and I suddenly, and I was, recovering from other trauma when I got pregnant with her. So just not in a good place starting the journey.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they handed me this beautiful, wonderful little baby that I felt like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to fuck this up.
Of course. Yes.
Fucked up person, and I am going to fuck this up.
There's absolutely no way. Yeah.
And, but it's funny when you said that about like, they're going to take the baby away. Like I realized I would say in the last 6 months, just thinking back on when my kids were young, and I probably spent the first 7 to 10 years in the back of my head thinking,
somebody's going to come
and take them, because I am totally not qualified. They're going to, it's like imposter complex, but for parents, right? Like somebody's going to figure out that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Can I please tell you that literally every single person feels like that?
Well, I know that now.
When I tell you, every single mom, all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that it was 7 to 10 years. I'm not at all surprised. Like that's not even shocking. Like we are all going through the same thing, and none of us are talking about it.
No.
And so here's the crap that they don't.
I said to a client today, like just not even like an hour ago, I was like, when you are standing in a group of moms and everybody is pretending that everything is fine, all it takes is one to be like, oh my God, I don't know if I can fucking do this for another day, before that like collective sigh goes around the group.
Yes.
And everybody's just like, oh my God, someone said it out loud.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to your story, because I want to
No, because this is perfect, because so here's the thing. It's something around 80% of moms that get baby blues, and baby blues is about 2 weeks. So most of us go a little nuts for a short period of time.
Because if we think about the experience in pregnancy and childbirth, how could you not?
Thank you. I mean, for real. Okay. So they shouldn't, but that shouldn't be minimized either.
Right.
Like that, none of that should be minimized. But yeah, I was really, really angry because what I found out, I actually know what kicked this off too, was my therapist asked me, she went through a list of about 15 things, and they were all risk factors for maternal mental illness. So for depression, anxiety, or OCD, or psychosis. These were the risk factors. And of the 15, I had 10.
Wow.
And I was like, well, shit, of course I got sick. I mean,
yeah,
my odds at that point of getting sick were way higher than my odds of not getting sick.
And had you known that going in,
yeah.
yeah.
I am a planner. I'm a list maker. I am this is why I went to all of those classes. If anybody had told me, hey, here's your list of things, if you are checking off more than 5 or 6 of these, then maybe you should go ahead and just call your insurance and see if you're covered for mental health. Find out who in your area could possibly treat you. If you don't have insurance, go ahead and start calling around to some places and see who takes uninsured people. All of this legwork that we ended up doing once
afterwards, when you're dealing with a newborn and everything is gone to shit,
and suicidal thoughts is not when you need to be making calls to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, insurance companies are the last people that depressed or anxious people need to be talking to. The very last people, like seriously, just no.
Yep.
There were times when just the idea of having to press all of those, press 1 if this, and then press 2, and then press 12, and then press the pound sign, and then put in your whole number, your social security, and then press, and then we'll get you to a person. I couldn't do that.
Yeah. And there are days when just the thought of having to talk to 2 or 3 or 6 people to try and get the help that you need when you're in the middle of it.
Are you kidding? No.
Yeah. It's easier to just go back to bed and stay there.
So when I work with pregnant people now, what I tell them is, okay, let's pull up your insurance. Like right now on our little video call, let's pull up your insurance. Let's go ahead and go online, because most of the stuff is online now. Let's go online and let's look at who is in your area. And let's see, is 1 visit covered, or 10 visits covered, or no visits covered? Let's find out. Let's find out now. Maybe you're never going to need it. And if you're never going to need it, then we just wasted 20 minutes. Okay, cool. It's fine. It's worth it. Because if you do need it, you've already got 3 phone numbers and names.
Yeah.
You've already put those someplace where your spouse or partner, your mom, your dad, whoever is around you, your friends, your roommates, can see those. And then we're going to have a conversation about, this is what symptoms look like. This is what should trigger somebody picking up the phone and making that call. And let's waste the 20 to 45 minutes it takes to go through all of that. Let's waste, in air quotes, let's waste that time. Because it is somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 7 moms. And if you're a mother of color, that number skyrockets.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and I'll waste that time. Cool, no problem. Let's do that.
And I love it that you're doing that. I would really love it if more of that was built into the system.
Oh no, we can't scare moms.
I mean, I live in the capital of maternal mortality here,
No, Jen, we cannot scare moms. No.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
But this is what I hear. I mean, even when I went back to the hospital,
we can't have a conversation about the depression that you might experience, but we're going to tell you how the birth experience is going to go and everything that could go wrong with that.
And I had a conversation with the woman who ran my birthing class, the birthing series, the woman who showed us super graphic video of of vaginal childbirth, of breech birth, super, like showing that to women who are already pregnant when you know, like there's
That's
nothing
just
you can do to
cruel.
get out of this. That was terrifying. I had nightmares. Um, but when I said to her, I would really like to come in and do I have a 3-minute version and a 5-minute version of what your risk factors are and what some symptoms might be. She said, "Oh no, I don't want to scare mothers. They're in a really, they're in a really delicate place right now, and I don't want to scare them." And I'm like, "You're the one who yelled at us for half an hour about gestational diabetes and about
Yeah.
like what we were
Yeah.
eating and drinking, and what do you mean you want to scare us? You terrified us."
That's insane.
What? Let's look at the numbers of people who have gestational diabetes versus the numbers
Versus
of
the
women.
numbers. Yeah, totally.
There's more women that commit suicide in the first year after childbirth than women who have gestational diabetes. So,
Really?
yes.
Wow, that's a powerful statistic.
It's the number one killer of new mothers, suicide.
Wow.
That is the most dangerous, the thing that is going to, if you are going to die in the first year after having your baby, it's not a car accident. It's not bleeding. It's not a stroke or a heart attack. It is suicide.
Wow.
But let's definitely not talk about it at all, because that we don't want to scare people.
Well, I mean, I feel like, like this is like so much else within the mental health sphere, right? Like,
Yeah.
like it's all just going to go away if we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And I really thought as I was healing, I mean, it was probably about 2 years before. It was about 6 months to a year before I thought I was better. It was about 2 years before I actually was really better, right? But I kept thinking, okay, when is it going to stop being hard?
Mm-hmm.
I thought motherhood was only hard because I was sick. I thought I sucked at being a mom because I was sick. I thought that all of these things that are just like systemic motherhood issues were only problems because I was sick. And that as soon as I was better, the mental load wasn't going to be hard. And as soon as I was better, it wouldn't matter that I was the one in charge of every single thing in our lives and that I had to be completely perfect at all of it all the time.
Yeah.
I would easily be able to do all of that as soon as I was better. So first it was like, as soon as the panic stopped. And then it was like, as soon as I could wean off the Zoloft. And then it was, as soon as I was like sleeping through the night, all of these things, right?
Yeah. And I think that's true even for moms that don't have postpartum. Because like for me, it was, I went back to school. My daughter was a few months old, and it was, like it was going to get easier as soon as I was finished with school.
Sure.
Or as soon as we moved, or as soon as my husband was done with business school, or as soon as things were a little better financially.
Yep.
It was going to be easier. And you know what? It never really got easier. Like certain things got easier, but then there were new things.
There is a bump, and this is a statistical bump too. Like you can see in just parents' satisfaction with parenthood in general. Yep. There's a bump right around age 5, but that's because they're going to school.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Other than that, there is.
And for me, with my oldest, like that was the age that I started to chill out a little bit. I was really, really lucky because I had just had her brother then too. So when she was about 6, when I started to come out of the postpartum, that I didn't even realize that that's what it was until later. I had a really good friend who had 4 kids, and we were living in like University of Michigan family housing at this point. And she was just like one of those people that's sort of always cheerful and laughing. And she was able to look at my hyper neurotic perfectionism about things that mattered not at all. And, kind of like joke me out of it, and that like allowed me to kind of like laugh at myself a little bit and see how much crazy had become the normal.
Yes.
Because when crazy becomes normal, it doesn't happen overnight.
No,
it's a gradual thing.
Slow. And so like I think we also haven't our whole entire culture need to talk about how we've normalized all of these really horrible ideas around motherhood.
No shit. And that
are,
actually brings me to my next question.
oh boy.
Because, you know, I talk a lot about culture and conditioning and internalized oppression, like in my work. So tell me about how patriarchal culture sees mothers.
And we don't have 5 years. Okay. That is like the longest conversation ever. Really. It is. I try to tell people, I'm like, when you're struggling as a mother, I need you to stop and just ask yourself, racism, capitalism, or patriarchy, or D. And D is all of them.
All of the above.
Because I promise you, 99% of the struggles that we have can be traced back to one of those things. And I'm talking about all the stuff from your kids sleeping through the night to my daughter pooping on the floor. Like, why does she do? Why? What makes her think that? Anyway, that's a whole other episode. But my reaction to it.
I have one of those stories too, that now that my children are old enough to listen to podcasts, I won't share.
And 3 is an evil age. Somebody asked me, people should not ask me questions about motherhood because I tell you the truth. Somebody asked me, like, well, aren't you excited that she's about to turn 3? And I was like, no, she's about to be possessed by a series of demons. I'm not excited about that. It's not going to be a good time. 2 is fine. 4 is fine. 3, I want to run screaming out of the house.
So I remember 3. Oh, God, do I remember 3?
I know. Just like when they lie to you and tell you that you're not going to remember labor pains anymore. Also a lie. You remember 3, just like you remember those labor pains.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. We're off the point. But so all of these things, though, this is one of the reasons I love focusing on motherhood, because I feel like it is the intersection.
Yeah.
Because you bring all of yourself to it, right?
And it's a growth opportunity, whether you want it to be or not.
Oh, whether you want it to be or not. Yeah.
Because you will be constantly challenged and you can't get out.
And you're stuck in it and you're screwed. And this is your life now. And I'm just really sorry about it. But no, all of these ideas, because our ideas of what a good mother are.
Yes.
Not even perfect mother. Not even that perfect mother.
No, like baseline good. Our ideas of baseline good.
Yes. Are deeply, deeply tied into patriarchy and capitalism. To the point where, like, if I don't cook, if I'm not the person in my household who cooks, if my husband cooks, or my partner cooks, or my roommate cooks, right? Am I a good mother still? Am I going to carry, even if I have partnered or married somebody who loves to cook, or that is the thing that they love to do more than anything else, and where what they want to bring, they love cooking for their family, they enjoy this is amazing, and they want to cook every night.
Because even then, you're going to get, wow, aren't you lucky?
Aha!
The thing that would send me through the roof every single day and twice on Sunday was, you're so lucky that Matt helps so much with the kids and like this, that, and I'm like, the fuck I am. They're his kids.
Like, first of all, I'm not lucky. I chose him. I didn't fall over him.
Yeah.
And then, oops, I'm pregnant. Like, that's not how it happened.
Yeah.
I chose this person. This is the person I chose. I chose Adam on purpose. Mostly on purpose. I didn't know there's some things. I chose 98% of him on purpose. Okay. No, I chose this dude on purpose. And part of the reason that I chose him was because of his views on parenting, was because of how caring he is and how supportive he is. It was our 3rd date, I think, that he looked at me and he went, "You're Black." And I was like, "Well, you're really smart, dude." Okay. Yes. And then he followed it up with, "And you're a woman." And I was like, "No shit, you're just batting 1,000.
Wow.
Okay, where is this going?" And he's like, "So I was thinking, what would happen if I just believed you when you said that something was racist or sexist?"
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what's going to happen right now is we're going back to your apartment. That's sexy as hell.
Damn. That is really one of the hottest things I've ever heard.
I'm not even kidding you. Like, what's going to happen right now is you're getting laid. But in general, yeah, I think that would be a good idea, sir, because yes. So I chose him. I chose that dude.
Yeah.
I chose that dude. So of course that dude is also going to be the dude that, you know, when I was in the hospital with the C-section,
Right.
like he changed all the diapers. He changed all the
Mhm.
diapers for like 2 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
and then we just got to the point where he was just better at changing diapers. So he just changed the diaper. Like, you're good at it. I'm not good at it. So you're just going to keep doing it. And
Mhm.
that was a moment that a lot of things became clear to me. It's a cycle. We expect women to do these things.
Yep.
And so then we stop men from doing them. Then women get better at them than men are, like with the diapers.
And then it becomes, yeah,
and
absolutely.
then it becomes a cycle, right? Because it took me forever to get comfortable with the diaper changing because I missed those first 2 weeks.
Because it wasn't already like a habit.
It wasn't like a 50-50 thing. It wasn't like it was like I did not do it.
And I think that's a fair point about what we do and don't expect from men, because I feel like we've spent the last 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 decades redefining what it means to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really redefined what it means to be a man.
Yeah. Yeah. And
because I know, like, my husband, like, there was this whole campaign, I think it was when we lived in Minneapolis, and it was about fatherhood, and I got where they were trying to go with it. It was kind of like a public servicey kind of thing.
Oh boy.
But these billboards like pissed my husband off so much because he was like, it's like everybody starts from the assumption that because you're the male parent, you're the shitty parent.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The assumption is you need to learn how to parent your child.
Yeah.
Instead of that you have been co-parenting your child however long they've been alive.
Right. Right.
You know?
And I mean, like, to me, like that was a baseline expectation. Like, it just didn't, I don't think it occurred to either one of us that it wouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that it didn't completely piss me off when some, and usually this would come from like an older woman, would be like, oh, he's so wonderful, you're so lucky. And yeah, he's great. I'm not saying he's not, but
no, he's great. But I did that on purpose. Like, I picked a good one.
And nobody gives me a fucking medal for changing my kid's diaper. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah,
like, nobody looks at me and they're like, wow, you got up and fed your baby in the middle of the night.
Yes.
You deserve an award. Like,
I really wish I had said yes, and so am I.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I look
That's where you get into the improv, like the yes and, right?
Because my parents lost their minds. He's changing a diaper. I'm like, no shit, it's his kid. What else is what is he supposed to be doing right now?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like there's an underlying judgment there too. Like, I would get the, oh, you're so lucky that he does so much. And, you know, whether it was there or not, what I heard underneath that is, oh, and you must be lazy because you're so lucky and you don't do as much as you should. You know?
Yeah, no. And that's the thing, is that we even when we say that we want an egalitarian household, even when we say that we're going for 50-50, it's crap. We're not, because we just assume so much that it's just baseline feminine. When I tell people that Adam makes all of the doctors and dentist appointments for my kids, they lose their minds.
Like, or even when it's not like something that's being decided between the two of you. When the kids are in school, they're always going to call you first, no matter
not anymore.
Listed first on the form.
Hey,
did you fix that one?
Yeah, I don't answer the phone.
There you go.
We both work from home. And even if we didn't, honestly, we both work from home. Like, but we're both here. The phone rings and it says school. It says, like, it has the name of the school. I put them into the phone, and I look at it and I go, oh, that's not good. And then I don't answer. And so then they go down to the next person on the list, right? If it's a big deal, you know, if it's when my son was sick. My son got sick one day and he threw up at school. And so, so then they call the next person on the list. And so, and I heard the phone ring. I'm sitting downstairs. He's upstairs. He comes downstairs and he's like, yeah, he threw up. He's got a little bit of a fever. You want to go get him? You want me to go get him? What do you have left today?
Mm-hmm.
And so we literally just talked about, like, I had a client in like 20 minutes. He had a meeting in like 2 hours. So he was like, I'll go get him. I'll watch him for an hour. Then you watch him. And then we'll figure out tonight. And I was like, cool, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And that sounds very much like how, we've sort of always done it.
It comes, but I can't just say, why are they calling me? Why don't they ever call him? I have to not pick up the phone. And I have to sit there being scared, knowing that my child is probably hurt or sick or wants me or wants his dad. He wants somebody. Mm-hmm. He wants somebody that's not Kara, the school nurse, who is amazing. Kara, I love you. If you're listening, you're fabulous. She really is. She's so sweet. But he doesn't want her when he's sick. He wants one of us, right?
It's mom or dad.
He's 5. He wants us. I have to do that. I have to make a decision to not be a part of this. And it is so hard every single time. It sucks really bad every single time. But that is how patriarchy falls. From one school nurse getting used to, mom's never going to pick up the phone. Dad's always going to pick up the phone.
Dad first. Yeah.
It is now, we are recording this at the end of November. They have started calling him first. So it took August, September, October. Not really that long in the scheme of things for them to start calling him first. Mm-hmm. Our daughter is at a daycare. She's not at a public school yet because she's 3. And they asked for the primary parent's phone number. And we put Adam's phone number down, mostly because I hate the phone.
Yeah.
And my phone is always on silent. His phone is never on silent. And my phone is always
that just makes total sense.
So if you call me, I'm not going to know that you called me until I go to check Facebook. So that's a lie. I'm always going to know that you called me. I'm just going to ignore it. Really, I'm just going to ignore it. But yeah, I mean, he's the person that should be called for that kind of stuff. When there are many times, just really basic questions around potty training our daughter. And I was getting frustrated and I was like, look, here's the issue. I need you to figure this out. I just threw the whole problem at him.
Yeah. Because sometimes you have to, like and I think that's where, when you're actually co-parenting, both of your strengths get to come out.
Yes.
There are things that I, and they're not always the things that you would think.
Right.
Yeah. He's really good at the dentist and the doctor and like all of that kind of stuff, remembering to do that.
I don't remember it. I don't like scheduling it. I don't like making the phone calls. I'm not I don't.
Yeah.
No,
I used to do it all, but I don't anymore.
Yeah. So I mean,
but
I just that at him.
I've had really excruciating conversations about sex with my 18-year-old son in the last year. So I got to do that,
Right? I mean, there's some but we actually had a conversation about what we like to do and what we don't like to do when it came to household stuff. Or what is it? Because I think I looked at him and I was like, if I never do another dish again for the rest of my life, it's like, babe, I can't. I hate it. I hate it. Could we go win the lottery so we could hire a maid that just came in to do the dishes?
Just the dishes.
The dishes. And he was like, well, if I don't have to do the laundry anymore, then you don't have to do the dishes. We can switch. And I was like, sold. Yeah. Sold. Yes. I don't care. Laundry doesn't bother me. I'm not one of those people. I know there's a lot of people who hate it. It gets on their nerves. They don't like it. Really doesn't bother me. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not a thing. And switching a thing that we do twice a week with a thing that I have to do multiple times a day. Winning. Totally winning. So yeah, I do the laundry now and he does the dishes. And that's just life.
That's that's partnership, right? Like that's what it really looks like.
Yes. but people look at us like we're nuts. And people said, when we were going through all the sleep troubles with my son decided, 7 months old, that he didn't want to sleep anymore. He was done. He'd done enough sleeping in his life. He was cool. Sleep is for the weak. He could sleep when he's dead. All of those motivational posters, and he was on it. He went from like 3 to 4 hour chunks of sleep down to 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, there was 2 weeks in a row where he slept less than 2 hours in a 24-hour period every day. I mean, it was torture. We were being tortured. And people would say things to me like, you just need to tire him out. And I honestly almost punched my own mother.
Oh my God.
Because she said, why don't I come over and play with him and tire him out? And I was like, he slept 2 hours yesterday. He's exhausted. If that was the problem. But people would, whenever I would tell people, like what Adam and I ended up doing was I would go to bed at like 8 and get up at 2. And he would stay up until 2 and go to bed from 2 until 7.
Wow.
And people would be like, but he needs to sleep. He's going to work. And I'm like, and I don't need to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
I was building my own business at the time, so I wasn't working in an office. And that's another thing. Like, so that's capitalism prioritizing the office 9-to-5 work over the unseen labor of starting a business.
The corporation takes precedence,
right? And then there's just the patriarchal idea that his rest is somehow more important than my rest, or that I am somehow more able to, I'm expected to operate off of no sleep.
How can that be, Graeme? Because women are the weaker sex.
Yeah, but 27 stitches. Okay, sure. I mean, there were all of these things, and I was like, we both need to sleep. We both are suffering. We are both being tortured here. Actually, all 3 of us, because my poor baby, he was miserable. He was so, man.
Well, because when he can't sleep, you know.
Oh, he was just oh, my poor baby. He was so sad, and I was terrified. I don't think I've ever been. I was so scared.
Yeah, and when you're sleep deprived, that makes it that much worse.
Yes. Yeah. That was one of those problems I threw at him too. I was like, I can't Google anymore. You have to, here's everything. Cause I kept, ordering books on Amazon. That was when I think that was when I got the Kindle. I got the Kindle on purpose so that I could immediately have the sleep book instead of having to wait.
Instead of having to wait for it to come.
Right. 2 days for Amazon Prime. I mean, that's how bad it was. We were just so desperate. And finally I just looked at him and I was like, I can't do it. I mean, I was sobbing, and I was still on medication. I was still in therapy. I was still, I was barely holding on.
Yeah.
And he was in a situation where he had been, with at the time we weren't married yet, but with a partner that like was barely holding on. We were all in this like really scary situation. I
mean, that's the thing that I think we really undersell in our culture is, the word that like comes to mind for me when I think about those early years, and it's true of everyone I know who's ever had kids. It's like fraught.
Yes.
Like it's that time where, because it's always something, right? And you're completely sleep deprived, and you're, like sort of so run down, and it's so much harder to deal with things when you're feeling that way.
Yep.
That everything, even the smallest thing, takes on a huge significance and feels completely like insurmountable. Yeah.
It's life or death guesses. That's what it is. That you're making for the person that you love the most.
Yeah.
Life or death guesses, because there's no information. Every book that I read contradicted the book I had just read.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's
over and over. And
all of the books are somehow based on this idea that there's one way to parent, and you have to do it perfectly.
Yes, that you have to do it perfectly. And so here's the thing that I keep trying to tell. I tell moms this all the time, and it takes forever to get to actually like sink all the way in into their bones. If
Mhm.
your children had the perfect mother that you have in your brain, if they actually had that mother, she would fuck them up so bad. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. She would ruin your
Yeah.
kid.
Yep.
They need the mom that yells sometimes. They need the mom that screws
Yeah.
up. They need the mom that forgets the permission slip. They need the mom that didn't pay for the thing. They need the mom that left the crust on the bread. They need the mom that sent the ham instead of turkey. They need the mom that is human and screws up, because
Yes.
they are human and they are going to screw up.
And if they've never seen how to do that, or
Thank
never seen
you.
someone own that,
Yep.
then
They've
it,
never seen somebody screw up and the
yeah,
world didn't end because you've been perfect.
right. Because
How do
you've
they know that the
given
world's not going to end?
permission. Yeah,
Right.
totally.
We all know, we say all the time, they never listen to me. They never listen to me. They never listen to me. And it's true. They don't. They're not
No.
actually listening to you
Nope.
at all. But they are watching you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actions speak a lot louder than words,
So they're seeing
especially
you
when it comes to
screw
having
up.
kids.
They're seeing, they're seeing you screw up. They're seeing you beat yourself up for screwing up.
Yep.
They're seeing whether or not you apologize. Like, those are the things to focus on.
Yeah.
Not like,
They're
oh, I can't
seeing
ever.
that you're
No.
a real three-dimensional human
Right.
being with like
Thank
a full range of emotions.
Thank you. The stuff to
Yeah.
focus on is like, did I apologize?
Yep.
Did
Or
I
if I didn't,
give myself grace?
do I want to circle back around now and say, look, I kind of like
Hey,
screwed this up and I didn't
yes.
apologize and I probably should have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many times when she's 3, my daughter is 3, she pushes every single button. She doesn't know. She creates new buttons just so she can push them. That's what she does. And so, yeah, man, I yell, I lose it. I'm like, that's it. We're not watching any more TV until you're 55 is a literal thing that I said like yesterday. What
Yeah.
day is it? 2 days ago. That's an actual thing that I said. And my son's eyes get huge and they start welling up. I'm not going to be 55 forever. Because he believed me when I said we're not watching any
Yes.
more TV ever until you're 55. And in that moment, I didn't care. I was so pissed. I was so she had pushed me so far that I did not care. And I was like, well, you'll get over it. None of this is good parenting. None of this is anything that I'm proud of, right?
But it's real parenting. It's parenting.
It totally is. But I walked in the
real
kitchen
life.
and I opened, I have a box that is full of all of the Starburst reds, all the red and pink flavors, because I love myself. And so I walked in there and I got a cherry Starburst and I sat on the floor in the kitchen until all of my cherry Starburst was gone. And they were like, she was crying and then he cheered her up and then I think she pinched him and then he was crying. I mean, all of this stuff happened. It was a mess. I ignored all of it because nobody was actually dying. And I had my cherry Starburst. And when I was done, I went back over and I was like, okay, she doesn't get to choose what we watch, but you get to choose what we watch. And I'm sorry, we are going to watch something right now because it was TV time. It was their little TV time. And you don't have to wait until you're 55. And I shouldn't have said that. But she's really annoying sometimes. And he was like, Mommy, she is very, very annoying sometimes. I don't know about this whole little sister thing. And I was like, dude, me too. Yes. 100%. I don't know about this whole little sister thing. And then I remembered I am a little sister and I was like, well, shit. Because we're just regular human beings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
I mean, I
could
think
have been.
that is the model of parenting right there, right? Like there was self-care, there was
Right?
self-awareness, there was like, circling back and you get a second
there was
chance to do what you
sarcasm.
wanted to do. Yeah, all the things.
And all of this was said while like snuggling both of them on my lap. So she, there are times when she just, woo, man. Okay. Yeah. But I love her so much. And that's annoying too, because I feel like it would be easier if I just didn't love her so much. Gosh, all of this would be easier. All of this parenting stuff would be easier if we could remove ourselves a little bit. But we can't. So we're just we're stumbling through.
There.
We're doing the best that we can. Yeah. And what saves me on a regular basis is all of the other mothers in my life.
Yes, which that brings me to what I really am dying to hear more about. Can you tell me about the Mom Center?
Oh my God, I love it so much. Oh, moms are just cool. Okay, we are. We don't give ourselves enough credit for being cool, but we are very cool.
We are
really
definitely very cool.
We are cool people, man. We are cool people. We generally don't smell that good because somebody has usually done something. And a lot of times we're distracted, but we are still cool. And I just wanted to hang out with more moms. I actually I was coaching one-on-one, and I kept realizing that all of my clients needed to meet each other. You know, I would be having a conversation with one person, and then half an hour later have a conversation with another and be like, man, I wish, but there's confidentiality stuff, and there's rules, and I can't just say, man, Courtney, you really need to meet LaTanya, and Sarah, you really need to meet Lisa. Like, I couldn't say you guys are going through really similar things, because I'm a vault, right? Everything has to stay in the vault. But they really needed each other. And I was having the exact same conversation 6 times a day. And I'm like, okay, come on, this is ridiculous. We should all be talking about this together. And I started thinking about maybe creating a Facebook group. But I don't know about you, but every time I log on to Facebook, I just zombie scroll.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
There.
I try. Like, I go to Facebook for a reason, right? I'm going to go look at so-and-so's page, or a notification.
Or I'm going to go and look in this group. But yeah, no, it is very hard to get there from
I'm going to ask this question
Facebook.
in this group, and then I go in the group and I have half the question asked, and a notification pops up that, like, so-and-so did such and such. And I'm like, oh, I'm a squirrel. I'm like,
and the next thing you know, it's like 45 minutes later, and you're like, what am I doing on Facebook? And you log out, and then you're like, oh shit, I didn't do the thing that I went. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. And I was like, that's not
sometimes I'll do that multiple times too.
Oh my gosh,
do the same thing. Okay.
Yes.
Or I'm glad to hear it's not just me.
No, I'll have 4 Facebook tabs open. And I still not know what the hell I'm doing in any of them, right? And so I didn't want to recreate that. I'm like, I'm not going to take moms that are already distracted and struggling, and then, like, we put them in this situation. Like, that's not what I want. And at the same time, somebody told me about Mighty Networks, which is it's a way to create a private social network. So that's what the Mom Center is. The Mom Center is like if Twitter and Facebook had a baby, but only moms could go on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what happens in the Mom Center?
It's pretty cool. So there's a couple of different things. Every week I post a thought prompt. It's written and it's in video, so whichever way works for you is, you do that. If you want to watch me make silly faces and talk with my hands a lot, you're more than welcome to, or you can just read it. It's usually really short, around 3 minutes. That's like, hey, this is what we're going to focus on this week. We have talked about things like, what is one idea about yourself that you could let go of this week?
Nice.
Like how, let's have some gratitude this week. Or what is one thing that you could do that would make yourself happier? Not happy, no pressure, happier than you already are. One thing.
Yeah.
Go and get a Starburst every day. One thing, right? I try to make them small, actionable steps. All of 2019, we are going to be working on creating a self-care practice, not a plan, not a planner, not a list of things.
Not a challenge.
Not a challenge. A practice, the same way that you practice law or you practice medicine. So a way of looking at the world that centers yourself. So that's our plan for all of 2019. So every week the prompts are going to move you closer to that. But then it's also a social network. So there are moms that come in there and post about, why does my kid smell like this? And then people post about, my partner did this asshole thing or did this amazing thing. You can ask a question, or you can just, we have a rant room where you can click that as your topic and you can rant about whatever you need to rant about, or you can ask for support. I one of our moms was like, so I have a white lady mom question. My kid is starting to like just call all of her friends. My black friend so and so said, and then my black friend said, she's like, and I'm freaking out. What do I do? So we have all of the discussions that you have in your head, all of the worries that you have in your head, all of the things you're freaking out about in your head that you feel like you cannot say to anyone out loud because somebody is going to hate you. This is the place where you can go and say all the things and get help, and nobody's going to hate you. And once a month, we do my favorite thing, which is we have these community calls where we all hop on Zoom together. I think the biggest group we ever had was like 15 of us together. Everybody grabs coffee or tea or, I don't know, booze, whatever you want to have in your cup, but you get something on a Saturday morning and come and hang out. And it's not coaching. We're not talking about like, this is our topic for no. It's like, just come. And if you have a question and you need help, and then let us know. And if you just want to talk about what you're watching on TV or some silly thing that just happened, then we talk about that. It's just hanging out with your girlfriends.
Just the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous.
It's my favorite thing. Really. Yeah, it's my favorite thing. It's always planned for 90 minutes, and it always goes way beyond that because I just don't stop it. I'm like, you guys go whenever you need to go. Hop on whenever you need to hop on. There's people who are there the whole time. There's people who come in half an hour late, air quotes late, because it can't really be late. It's like walking into your best friend's house and you just come whenever you want. It's kind of amazing. That space is it's the culmination of all of the things that I ever thought I wanted as a mom.
Yeah.
It's all of the things. It's people who get me with no judgment. And each of us is farther down the road in some way than somebody else. We have members whose kids are in college, right? We have members who are gender non-binary. We have members who are lesbian. We have members that are married. We have members that are single. We have members that are teachers. So everybody knows something different. Everybody is better than you at something different. And you're better than somebody, or you know more than somebody. You know, there's no
I think that is just something like as mothers, but even just as women, that we need to recognize more. You know, that what we have to give is different than what anyone else in the world has to give.
And is necessary.
And vice versa. Absolutely.
It's so necessary.
Because I think what we do instead is like we, you know, on one hand feel culturally conditioned that we have to sort of like put on a show and like project this shell of what we think we're supposed to be. And then we look around at all of the other women who are doing the exact same things. And we look at the shell that they're projecting and think, oh my God, everybody else has their shit together and I don't.
Right. And I don't. Yeah. Nobody has their shit together. Literally nobody has their shit together. There's nobody. And then the thing I hate the most is we all have the same 24 hours. We do not. We do not all have the same 24 hours. If I have to see one more meme of Beyonce doing something where she has the same 24 hours that you do, she does not. No, she does not.
And a staff of how many?
Right. I was going to say, excuse me, in what world? Excuse me, in what world does she have the same 24 hours that I have? No. But what I have that she doesn't have are these amazing moms that are all around me who are teaching me all of these things, who we have moms in there that love being crafty and creating things and are all of the like the Pinteresty type of moms. And then there's me that's like, I don't know how to use a hot glue gun. And he's got a project and I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody please come fix my life. And there's somebody in there who can just help me. Right.
Yeah.
And there is
And I
safety.
think just that getting over that isolation too is such a
Yeah.
huge piece.
Yes. Yeah. That and the judgment, the idea
Mhm.
of if I've never been on Pinterest and if I can't create the perfect cake topper or whatever, then I'm a horrible mother.
Right.
And the
Right.
Pinterest and the mom who loves cake decorating, feeling like if I post this, all of the other moms are going to think I'm trying to shame them.
Yes. Yeah. That too. I guess that is the
They're
other
all
side
going to
of
yell
that.
at me and say, "Why are you trying to make us look bad?"
Yep.
And instead, this is a place where both of those moms can just be like, "Hey, neither one of us actually baked this cake. I decorated it. I decorated it like crap. Neither one of us baked it." And I'm over here like, "Can somebody please just mail me a cake? Can that happen?" And then there's a whole ridiculous cake conversation that happens. And everybody is in the ridiculous cake conversation instead of separate groups of mothers all feeling inadequate.
Yeah. Now, if listeners want to join the Mom Center, they can do that on your website
They can totally do that on my website,
that we're going
graemeseabrook.com.
to put. Yeah,
Click
I'll
on
put it all
Mom
in the show
Center.
notes too.
Come and hang out with us. We have a 1-week free trial. It is a paid group,
Nice.
but we have a 1-week free trial. So you could come and hang out with us for a week and decide if we suck. And if we suck, then you leave and it's fine. We don't suck. We're awesome. But if you don't want to do it, it's totally cool. You don't have to do it. I think you should do it.
So, as we wrap up, there's one question that I ask. I try to remember to ask all of the people that I interview. So, what is one thing that you want to share, or one piece of advice that you could offer to people listening that you think might surprise them?
Oh, see, all of my stuff, I really hope it doesn't surprise you. I hope you already know how worthy you are.
Yeah.
I really hope it doesn't, but I feel like it does. The one thing that I tell people all the time, because I believe it to be true for all of us, is that our worth, and I think this is a big deal when we're talking about racism and capitalism and patriarchy and
Yeah.
all that. Our worth is intrinsic and immutable. And what that means to me is that you were born worthy. And nothing that you've done, nothing that you've experienced, nothing that has happened to you has changed that at all.
Yeah.
You're still right there. You are still worthy right now. You yelled at your kid yesterday. You're still worthy. You decided this morning that you never want children. You're still worthy. You
Mm-hmm.
have a kid and you're regretting it. Guess what? You're still worthy and you still deserve support. I don't
I love
care
that. Yeah.
what it is. You are still worthy. Now, you can be worthy and also be a person who maybe, needs psychiatric help or who maybe has committed a crime. I am not, I'm not saying that criminals don't exist. I am not saying that
Right.
deeply evil things don't
But
exist.
worthiness is about who you are, not what you do.
Yeah, that's just a
Yeah.
basic human trait. And I see so much of this perfectionism and people
Mm-hmm.
pleasing and all of this stuff trying to grasp at worthiness. If I
Yeah.
can do this, then I will be worthy of love or protection or care or rest. And man, you're already
Or
worthy
if
of all
I
that stuff.
step the slightest toe out of line,
Yes.
I'll lose my worthiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, worthiness is nothing that can change.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
actually, I have a huge tattoo on my arm, on my forearm, that is just the word worthy. And it faces inward. It is so that when I look down on my arm, I see
You
it.
can
It
see it
is
yourself.
not,
I love that.
yeah, it's a reminder for me. It's not a reminder for anybody else. So,
That's fabulous.
yeah, that's hopefully it's not surprising. I hope everybody who heard that is like, yeah, duh, I knew that.
You know what? I think it's one of those things that we just can't hear enough.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking.
Thank you for having me.
about
This
all
was fun.
Great. This was super fun. And I would love to have you back on again sometime.
Whenever you want. I will talk about moms all day, every day, 24/7.
Awesome.
I'm a mom dork. I love us. I think we rock.